Hey guys, how we doing today? My name is David Henry. Welcome back to the channel. We want to talk a little bit today about suppressor mounts. The pleasant little mounts you have to buy to fit these muzzle devices or these suppressors onto your rifle. You know, regardless if you have a Rotex and Surefire mount, you know that maybe take a Rotex muzzle device. That's a nice little mount. If you have a Huxworks or OSS can and you have to have their muzzle device, these are all proprietary devices that work with their cans. Great system, and with the Huxworks with that reverse left-handed threads and then the can that actually tightens up when you shoot it. A great system for, you know, the OSS or the Huxworks cans. Sometimes though, we're gonna have multiple rifles out there. You could also get a direct thread. Direct threads are nice if you have it on a proprietary rifle that you're not gonna be moving it around. This is a 1/2x28 on that blue line, B&T blue line Inconel can. You know, maybe that's a good scenario for you, but if you want to move it from rifle to rifle, sometimes that's not the best option or the best option for us. You know, we like these quick detach systems, you know, like the Surefire muzzle device and a Surefire Rotex mount. Super nice, super easy to get on and off, but they're expensive. If we think about the mount that goes in, that hub mount that goes into the back of the suppressor, that could be $200, $300. And we think about the muzzle device, $150, $130. That is an expensive system just to get a suppressor on the front of our rifle. And then you got to buy a muzzle device like this for every single one of your rifles. That can get very expensive. You know, OSS's device, it's great. You know, it's a great proprietary. If you're running Huxworks only cans, this is the only way to go. It works perfect. It runs with the gas system perfect. A great setup. I have these pen and welded on 13.9s, 14.5s, all of these that I have to use Huxworks cans. Hux did release a hub mount very similar to this that will go on to their muzzle devices so you can run other cans with it. But same thing, their muzzle devices, $150 to $170. And then that adapter is a couple $100. Something that 419 brought to the market that is kind of changing everything, at least in my mind, is their Hellfire 419 muzzle device. That's the mount that goes on the can. It's very thin and it doesn't stick out very far. If you look at this B&T can here, you see how tall the mount is on that can. We'll screw that out real quick and we'll throw the 419 in just so you can kind of see dimensionally what it'll do. We'll bring it in closer in a second, but see how close that is? When we look at that compared to this, that's going to bring it closer to the muzzle, bring the center of gravity closer to your rifle so it's a little less mass going back and forth. And not only that, but that mount, I think it's a little over $100, $120 versus over $300. That's a big savings. It's simplified. And then, what do you need to put on your barrel? Just that little device right there. And the cool thing about this device, it also works with their Hellfire muzzle brake, which is what all of us precision rifle shooters have been using. You know, there's the Ace brake, there's the Fat Bastards, there's other APA brakes, but a lot of us went to the 419 Hellfire brake because it was super efficient. And this is the adapter that would hold that onto the rifle. So these are sitting around on all our rifles, but even if they're not, this is $60. $60 versus over $100, $140, $150, $100 less for this little mount here. We look at the B&T or the OSS or the Huxworks, see how much smaller it is, less weight. If we look at the combined weight of these two pieces compared to even the B&T titanium and a Surefire muzzle device, I think we're going to save some weight. The titanium mount's awesome. B&T did a great job with this mount. It works really well. I've had good luck with it. And on my Rotex mount, on my APC 223, it is a great mount to do it. And that's got metric threads that are hard to find muzzle devices for. But I think everything else, I'm going to go with this 419. I'll grab that muzzle device or that muzzle brake so you can see. I also have an ASR adapter. These are a little less money. I think they're around $100 for the adapter, and then the quick attachment is probably $100, $150. Still not even close to the value you get out of the 419. Let me grab that 419 brake so you can see how it looks, and we'll go from there. I'm going to bring a close dive in and show you these components, and then maybe we'll throw a scale out and you can get some measurements. All right, that Hellfire brake, I was saying, this is the Hellfire match in 6.5 Creedmoor. We ran these on our match guns. Super nice brake. Does really good on recoil mitigation And the cool thing is it had that quick attachment muzzle device. That all we had to do was thread that thing on left-handed, and it would suck that right on there. No timing needed, and it had a taper on there that when it sealed up against that taper, it wouldn't rotate. So you could time that wherever you needed to, tighten that up, and you knew it was going to be in the right position. But we all wanted to start running suppressors, right? We wanted to have less concussion. When we're up against a rock or shooting a barricade, more and more times, you know, if you got a squad of 10 people and everybody's shooting big, nasty breaks, that concussion is going to get to you. And I know at the end of 2-day matches for me, I always came back with a headache, and I didn't like that. So I'm thinking about trying to get into more suppressors, where I'm running suppressors to cut down that concussion or that muzzle concussion off those muzzle breaks. So that muzzle device that was on there, so now I'm living over in Missouri, right next to Illinois, and I want to shoot matches over there. And I know I can't run a can in Illinois. I think they have a ban on suppressors, semi-automatics, and all things fun and safe. So if I was running this muzzle device on my match gun, I could quickly put it back to the suppressor, or back to the muzzle brake, the Hellfire muzzle brake, super efficient, or turn that off and go ahead and put my suppressor on there with the suppressor mount. Very thin, very short. It's going to work really well. I think this might be the answer. Getting into a suppressor system mounting, that's a lot less money, and it works with any of our hub compatible cans. It's not going to work with our Huxworks, unfortunately. The flows, the old OSSs like I had here, but the new OSS or Huxworks can that pulls apart is hub mountable, so you can use it on that. But also all those other cans out there that are hub compatible, this mount's going to go with it. The other thing is they build these same mounts for Thunder Beast cans and a few other specialty cans that have a little different thread pitch. I'm going to bring you in a little closer. We'll get some measurements of these different systems, and then we'll wrap it up in just a second. All right, we're looking at some of those muzzle devices and the different cans we were talking about. We got a scale here. Hopefully you can see that all right. It's zeroed out right now. We'll make sure nothing's touching it. Change that to probably ounces is what I'm thinking. Pounds and ounces. Here we go. So if we think about these mounts and what goes on with them, you know what I mean? We have the Hellfire mount and adapter. It looks like it's 3.6. We look at the Surefire muzzle device, that's 3.0. If we take the titanium B&T, the lightest one we have is the 5.56 version. We throw it on there, that's 8.1. Let's try the 308 5.56 one. They're both titanium, 8.4. So quite a bit heavier than the 419. So if we're trying to stay lightweight, maybe that Surefire setup is not the best setup. We look at this direct mount. I'll pull it out real quick and we'll measure the direct mount. That might be the one that has the biggest chance of competing. All right, we'll pull this direct thread mount out of this B&T. It alone is 3.0. I did find I had a Diligent Defense titanium direct thread. It's going to be quite a bit less. Looks like it's 1.1. So that titanium one, direct thread, is going to be lighter than the Hellfire muzzle adapter and hub adapter. But this B&T steel one is just barely lighter than these two. And the other thing we got to think about is how far it's going to stand off. You know, we look at that and that's not even threaded in. The 419 is going to get that can closer to the end of our muzzle so we can get a little less mass outside. If we're running a gas gun and we want that less mass swinging around to get around corners to be a little faster, the 419 mount is definitely going to be the way to go. I talked about the muzzle device, you know, that 419 does. If you have enough of these, you might have a couple other accessories. So there's the muzzle device. Of course, we have a muzzle brake. We just turn that thing left-handed thread, screws on there to the taper lock, so it's easy to time. We're going to pull that one off real quick. There's one other adapter I got here that you guys might have laying around. If you want a thread protector, they also offer a thread protector. That turns out to be a nice little muzzle crown. You know, if you had to shoot without a muzzle device, that would be one way you could just keep that adapter on there, not worry about messing up the threads. And I don't know that all of the suppressor adapters come with the wrench, but the one I bought, so this Hellfire suppressor mount did come with a wrench that fits both the hub part and the muzzle device, which is super awesome. It also has a beer opener if you need it. This opened end here is the same size as this, so if your can is stuck on the muzzle device, you can always use that while it's still on the suppressor to break that taper loose. You know, I don't know about you, but I think this Hellfire muzzle adapter is going to be the way to go for mine, mainly because I have so many of these Hellfire adapters and the system's lighter, it gets the can closer, and it's going to cost a lot less money. All right, guys, just a mashup of different muzzle devices and ways you can attach a suppressor to your rifle. Man, hopefully this gives you a good idea and at least shows you that option that I think might be the go-to option. Fumbling stuff around. Go-to option is that Hellfire muzzle device and the Hellfire hub mount for all your hub compatible cans. Hopefully this is valuable to you and gives you a good idea. Don't get me wrong, the direct thread options are pretty awesome when we think about weight, when we can get a titanium direct thread. And if we're not moving the can from host to host, maybe that's our option. This Diligent Defense one's very low profile, a lot lower profile than the B&T direct mount, so it's going to keep that closer. You know, if we were sticking on the same rifle all the time, that direct thread is probably a great way to go. And that Diligent Defense titanium adapter is super light. But if you're going to use it on multiple cans, I still think the Hellfire adapter is the way to go. Man, less money. It has an O-ring seal to keep the carbon off of your taper mount. Man, it comes with a nice aluminum wrench that fits everything. I think this is a great situation, especially if we are running these Hellfire muzzle brakes on all of our precision rifles. It's going to allow you to throw your can on there, go to a can-friendly state, maybe even compete in the PRS can division or suppressor division. This is a good way to jump into it. You don't have to have an Area 419 suppressor. You know, you can use that mount on any of your hub compatible suppressors. Thanks a lot. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribe for more videos on suppressors, you know, SBRs, DMRs, all the fun AR stuff, and then precision rifles. You know, we're going to get my precision rifle out, you know, my match gun, my match 22. We'll talk about those. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see. We're also going to do that head-to-head B&T blue line Inconel 3D printed flow-through suppressor against the X-Print RBS. This is the Inconel version, not the titanium with Inconel blast bastel and stainless steel. It's all Inconel. But man, stay tuned. I think you're going to like this comparison. There are some distinct differences in the way that B&T went to market, how they made the internals on them, how they made the external vents. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have that review for you pretty soon, or that comparison. Thanks a lot.